Hi, and welcome to Night Muse. This channel shares voice-narrated stories based on real experiences sent to me by people who want their secrets transformed into something deeper. These stories are rewritten with feeling, fiction, and imagination, but they all begin in truth. If that's not something you want to hear, feel free to click away now. But if you're curious, settle in for today's story. Clay between us, a whisper across oceans, by Anonymous. This is a story about how a single piece of clay and a single heartbeat can travel farther than any aeroplane. This is a story of how love shaped itself, one quiet message at a time. I never planned for any of this. When I opened my little art page, I imagined a quiet corner of the internet, just me, my wheel, and the soft earth between my fingertips. Clay was my language, cool, forgiving, endlessly patient. I would post videos of vases in muted blues, small bowls speckled with gold dust, cups that carried the memory of river stones. One evening, while the house was asleep and the kiln hummed softly in the next room, a new notification glowed on my phone. A single heart on a photo of a porcelain teacup I'd glazed in pale jade. The name beside it stopped me for a beat. Way. His profile mostly photographs of mountains wrapped in mist, tiny villages where lanterns glowed like fireflies, and calligraphy strokes so fluid they looked like falling water. He didn't write much. It was just a short comment. This piece feels like quiet rain. Something about those 6 words lingered in the air like incense. The next night, another comment. Then another. Sometimes just a single emoji of a teacup. Other times a gentle question, what music to listen to while you shape the clay? I answered, slowly, cautiously, but I answered. Weeks passed. We began to share small pieces of ourselves, the way potters share scraps of clay, careful, deliberate. I learned he lived in Hangzhou, a city of lakes and silk. He told me about his grandmother's garden filled with osmanthus blossoms. I told him about the way the North Sea wind carries salt into my studio, how sometimes the gulls outside sound like distant laughter. Months became years, 6 of them, 6 years of time zones and seasons, of morning messages and late night voice notes that carried the warmth of tea and the hush of midnight. I sent him photos of new bowls still damp from the wheel. He sent me recordings of the rain on Westlake, soft as fingertips on skin. People around me wondered why I smiled at my phone. They asked if we'd ever meet. I always said, one day. But even I wondered if the ocean between us was simply too wide. Then, last winter, while snow powdered the rooftops of my town, a message appeared that made my hands tremble. I think it's time. Let's not let another year go by without seeing the shape of each other's shadow. I read it twice, 3 times. My heart pounded like the kiln at full heat. We chose a date, a place, a halfway point of sorts, the international terminal at Heathrow. The morning of the flight, I carried one of my smallest creations, a tiny clayed bird, glazed the colour of early dawn. It sat in my pocket, warm from my palm. As I waited in the arrival hall, the world around me blurred. Voices, rolling suitcases, the rhythmic announcement of gates and times. Everything melted into a quiet hum. And then, there he was. He walked toward me with a steady, unhurried grace. A charcoal coat, a single travel bag slung across his shoulder. His eyes, I had seen them 1,000 times on a screen, but now they held the depth of a mountain like after rain. For a heartbeat, neither of us moved. 6 years of messages. 6 years of clay and ink and silence, all folding into the space between us. Then he smiled. A small, knowing smile that belonged to every late-night conversation we had ever shared. I stepped forward. So did he. The crowd dissolved. When we finally touched, his hand finding mine, our foreheads leaning close, it felt like the first time clay yields beneath your fingers, soft, alive, full of possibility. I placed the tiny bird in his palm. "It's for you," I whispered. He closed his hand gently around it. "I have something too," he said. And from his coat pocket, he drew a folded piece of rice paper. Inside, a single line of calligraphy. "Under the same sky." We didn't speak for a while. We didn't need to. The years of distance had already said everything. Sometimes love isn't a thunderclap. Sometimes it's a quiet craft, a bowl turned slowly on the wheel, a brushstroke across silk, a whisper across oceans, that at last finds its echo. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you'd like to send me your own moment or memory to be reimagined, you can email me at the address found in the description. Thanks for listening. Until next time, you keep the memory, I'll share the story.